Modern Warfare 3 picks up just hours after the end of Modern Warfare 2. So DC is burning, the war has escalated, is moving up the eastern seaboard. I mean, we pick up with Delta Force, their job is to get boots on the ground, try to push the Russians out of the U.S., but that's just the beginning of this conflict. I mean, as you realize from Modern Warfare 2, Task Force 141 is either dead or on the run. The characters we know and love, we don't know the fate of them. So this conflict really goes all around the world of tracking these different areas. Delta Force, the SAS, which are a much different type of fighting force, and then of course, what happens to our characters from the previous game. We left off not knowing where they are. So that plays a very key story point in the campaign of Modern Warfare 3. But you're also playing as a brand new Delta Force squad, and as well as new characters from SAS, and maybe a few familiar ones that the hardcore fans will pick up on. Moving into Modern Warfare 3, you have to keep those core design philosophies, that 60 frames per second, those huge set-piece cinematic moments. But of course, you know, as game designers, you're always looking at how can you expand on that gameplay, how can you expand on that experience. So we're adding in a lot of really cool stuff that is a byproduct of not only what are operators using in the field today, but the new environments that we're in. I mean, we're in the heart of major cities, so when you're fighting in New York, your tactics will change from a traditional conflict area. And so we've been incorporating stuff like the dual scope system where, you know, from a close to medium range, you know, you're using your EOTech or your red dot to take down targets, but then when you bust out of clearing a room into the open street, you can now flip up the scope on the fly to a magnifying scope or an ACOG. You're taking out dudes in rooftops, on windows, you know, the guys longer down on the street. It allows you to change your play style on the fly based on the environment. And we have 9 bangers, which is the upgrade from the flashbang, has 9 consecutive bang, XM25s, new weapons, new mechanics, especially in Spec Ops mode, which is our co-op mode. We're adding a lot of cool stuff there. This game is truly a global conflict. It's taking you all around the world, and those locations are really driven by the story. In Modern Warfare 2, DC Burning changed the state of the world, how the conflict is. So, you know, you're fighting in major cities in the U.S., and, you know, you're in Paris, you're all across Europe, you're in London, you're in parts of Russia, the Himalayas, Africa. It's really driven by the story on where this conflict is taking our characters and all these set-piece moments. And, you know, you get to experience in all different kinds of ways. You know, how Delta fights is very different from how SAS fights, and very different from how the storyline of our previous heroes picks up. So you're going to be experiencing not only these locations you've never seen before, but experience them in all different types of perspective, from boots on the ground, the more stealthy action, the air support, all really cool stuff. In Modern Warfare 3, obviously multiplayer is huge. We have the single player, we have the co-op, but once you open that door of multiplayer, it's a deep dive. There's so much stuff you want to get into on, you know, how all the new systems work, the new stuff we're adding, and most importantly, what we're keeping from the previous games. That's what the fans want to know. We're not diving deep in details now, but our philosophy right now is to just keep it focused on that high-speed gun-on-gun action, really building up from the basic Call of Duty 4 set, bringing in the stuff we love from Modern Warfare 2. We're doing a lot of really cool stuff, especially with Elite being built from the ground up to incorporate into Modern Warfare 3 that gives you stat tracking and group and all this really cool stuff that the franchise hasn't had to this degree before. So Modern Warfare 3 is coming out on Xbox 360, PC, and PS3 November 8th, 2011.